The U.S. President Donald Trump claims back-channel talks with a senior Iranian official has yielded major points of agreement. Iran denies any contact, calling it a trick to cool the markets and buy time. Trump had given Iran a 48-hour ultimatum to reopen the Strait of Hormuz shipping lane, but hours before the deadline, Trump fired a Truth Social post extending it by 5 days and saying U.S. and Iran have held very good and productive conversations in recent days.
We have had very, very strong talks. We'll see where they lead. We have major points of agreement. I would say almost all points of agreement. Perhaps that hasn't been conveyed. The communication, as you know, has been blown to pieces. They're unable to talk to each other. But we've had very strong talks. Mr. Witkoff and Mr. Kushner had them.
Iran was quick to deny Trump's claims. Sources cited in Iranian media said no direct or indirect talks were taking place. Trump blamed it on Iran's broken and battered communications.
They're going to have to get themselves better public relations people. We have had very, very strong talks. We'll see where they lead. We have major points of agreement. I would say almost all points of agreement. Perhaps that hasn't been conveyed. The communication, as you know, has been blown to pieces. They're unable to talk to each other.
Reports also said that the U.S. negotiators may meet an Iranian delegation for talks in Pakistan, with Vice President J.D. Vance possibly joining. White House spokesperson Karine LaVette did not deny the reports. However, Iranian Foreign Ministry has denied any negotiations. It said friendly countries recently sent messages to Iran indicating U.S. desire to begin talks, but Iran has not responded. It also said Iran's stance on the Strait of Hormuz has not changed. Syed Jaridi, a member of Iran's Expediency Discernment Council and a former nuclear negotiator, claimed that Trump's comments represented a retreat. He said that Iran's power has brought the U.S. to the tables of realities. Another senior Iranian official to deny Trump's claims is the country's parliament speaker, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf. He said no negotiations have been held with the U.S. and he called Trump's assertions fake news meant to manipulate financial and oil markets. Interestingly, the U.S. media outlet Axios has identified Ghalibaf as the official who was talking to Trump's envoy, citing an unnamed Israeli official. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said he had spoken to Trump. He said Trump thinks the deal is possible, but vowed to continue striking Iran and Lebanon. All right, to discuss more on this, we are now being joined live by Stephen Golub. He is a political analyst and lawyer. Thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast. I would like to begin with Trump's statements and also have your analysis on what kind of leverage you think that Trump has right now, saying that, yes, talks are going on when Iran has clearly denied it.
There are two fundamental things to understand about Trump in his statements. One is that the man simply lies the way most people breathe. And I hate to say that about my own president or any such powerful individual affecting the fate of not just my country, but in the world. But that's been documented repeatedly. Another thing, in a related vein, is that he is arguably a very unstable individual. His own niece, a clinical psychologist, has said that he's very narcissistic and has great instability in his personality, some great problems that are playing out now on a world stage. So when he says, oh, we've had these negotiations, we've had agreements on most points, I just don't think we can believe him. I just don't think we should believe him. In terms of the ramifications going forward, it's possible that negotiations will get us to a better place. It's not encouraging that his son-in-law and a real estate investor buddy are leading those negotiations. They lack appropriate expertise, both regarding the technical and strategic issues and understanding Iran, but it's conceivable that will happen. I don't think Donald Trump, though, at this point quite knows what he wants to do or what the U.S. will do going forward. He may simply be posturing to prepare for yet another major attack in terms of a ground assault on Farg Island or other islands in the Gulf, for example. So a lot is up in the air, but take what Donald Trump says with not just a grain, but a mountain of salt.
I hear you out, but then we have also UK's Prime Minister Keir Starmer saying that he has also heard that the talks are going on between US and Iran.
Oh, they may well be going on, but there was just a report in the New York Times over here saying that the other officials have said that the only thing that's going on now is some very low-level preliminary talks. So there are talks, and then there are talks. Let's hope that what's going on, if it's not at a major level of grappling with the most important issues so far, we'll get to that point soon. One other point worth noting, however, is that these negotiations may only lead the U.S. back to the point where it was before it launched these massive attacks, leading to so much destruction and loss of life. In that it could be that we'll just get to a point where Iran backs off and the U.S. back off, and we're where we were before the war, except yes, Iran is weakened in some ways, but in some ways so will the U.S. be by virtue of all the prestige it's put on the line. And just one more point here, nothing I'm saying is meant to defend the Iranian regime, which is a murderous, horrible regime that has certain elements of craziness to its own conduct, but there's also a method to that madness, though that madness includes killing thousands or maybe even tens of thousands of its own people in recent months.
I'll take that point, because then we also talk about, a lot of people are speculating the timing, because the announcement came before 7 a.m. when the market's open, and of course Friday is the time where it's after which it's going to close. Market is one thing, of course, which is being seen as a leverage, but then all the other time, Israel has been attacking and eliminating the top leaders. At this point of time, do you think for even Iran, this is a point where if Trump is saying that talks are going on, we have Kalibov saying that, well, no talks are going on, but is it a time where we do not know, of course, Mossadegh Khamenei is there, but we do not know how much of power or decentralized power is there in Iran? Do you think that's time where Iran should go back to talks?
I certainly hope they come back to talks. I hope that this leads to, against great odds, that this leads to some kind of satisfactory resolution. I do believe you made a good point in noting at the outset of your remarks just now that Trump cares a lot about the U.S. markets, the stock market in particular, and that could influence him if the stock market goes down. That was part of what was on his mind in making this announcement that we've got these great talks going on, supposedly. But, Iran, look, among many other factors, Iran is deeply entrenched. These people who are deeply unpopular in their country, the rulers, are riding a tiger, so to speak. So they don't want to be in the position after this war where they're vulnerable, whereas Trump may want to keep them vulnerable. And the very leader of this country now had just had his father, mother, wife, and daughter, I believe, blown up by the initial wave of attacks. So there are all sorts of personal factors at play beyond policy considerations that would inform how this all may play out.
And very interesting, Mossadegh Khamenei is also in the list, which an Axios report said would be these top leaders, which who are in these talks. We have other leaders such as Pezeshkian, of course. Then we have Arakchi, and we also have, of course, Mossadegh Khamenei. These are speculated names. So, if at all the talks are going on, do you think that one of these who are new, I would say, new leaders after Ali Khamenei's death, and of course a very strong hold that Larijani had with him being eliminated, these leaders would want to go for talks?